On this week's episode, we are going to talk about animated backgrounds coming to Microsoft Teams. Also, in Teams, we're going to be able to attach cloud files in chat from the Teams mobile. And tasks in Microsoft Loop components are going to start syncing with Planner and ToDo. That and more on this week's episode.
And I'll find the intro somewhere. Because I was too busy playing with my animated background, right? That's why. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us. Happy to have you with us as we go through a few messages this week. Daniel, those are some pretty good headlines. Pretty good.
I agree with you. There's some interesting stuff going on here. And we will leave it up to our listeners and watchers to come up with their own opinions about whether they're good changes or bad changes. No, we won't, because we'll tell you what we think, and we'll tell you our
tell you what you should be thinking.
I mean, that's the whole point of this show, is it not? Is to bring our experiences and try to help you understand what these changes mean for you and your organization. So that's why we're here. So, welcome everyone. So glad to be here. Daryl, how are you, sir?
Oh, good. It's getting into the coolness of winter, but we had some really nice few sunny days of blue skies. It was good.
Yeah. We just had some thunderstorms roll through. It is not cold here. It's quite warm. So for everyone, just in case you can't tell by Daryl's accent, and since I don't have one, I'd let you know that we live in two different hemispheres, so we have different, weather.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I mean, you all know that because they've been watching us for years. And if you're new here, you probably could tell anyway.
You probably could. So, Daryl.
Yeah.
I want to pause here for just 1 second. And while you're here, everyone, you might as well go ahead, smash that subscribe button, click the bell. Let us know that we are your podcast of choice by giving us that rating on the podcast service, wherever you find our podcast. We'd love for you to do that so others can find us as well. So might as well. You're here. I mean, you're listening or watching. Might as well go ahead and do it. You're right. I mean, might as well. So you could also hit us up on socials at 365 MCS. We're on all of them that matter. So we'd love to chat with you. There's been several on LinkedIn this past week that were sharing their thoughts and sharing the episode out. So we really appreciate that. We're on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, there's definitely some good opinions being shared there too. And I like seeing the different thoughts from admins from around the world as they try and figure out, how is this landing and how is it being rolled out to my people, and same old challenge of, keeping people up to date. It's all about the reason why we do what we do here, to create awareness.
Yes, absolutely. So let's dive in and start creating some awareness, Daryl.
Yes.
Let's talk about our headline. One of our headlines, anyway.
Yep.
Which is the Loop and Planner playing nice together.
Yeah. For those of you who might have been trying out the Microsoft Loop app, Microsoft Loop is a collaborative canvas, a place where you can just start working together, and the Loop app has come out in sort of more recent times and enables us to create workspaces and put all our pages together in one place. And one of the cool features that came out with this was when we create a task list on a page. The task list looks quite unassuming. It's a table that's got the name of the task and a date and who you've assigned it to, and doesn't really look like a lot is going on. But in the background, what was introduced with the Loop app was it also synchronizes to Planner. and therefore to do. If you've got a task that's assigned to you, then you'll see it in your assigned tasks smart list. Well, this lovely functionality is also now going to be available in the loops that we add to Teams chat and Outlook and various other places that we can add loop components. Now, what some of us have discovered and come to understand, we don't have any screenshots in this message, so I'll have to take care as I describe it. But we all know what Planner looks like, and that Planner creates a Microsoft 365 group, or maybe you're already creating it from a group or a Microsoft team, and the plan is accessible by all members of the team. Whereas a plan that is created from Loop, whether it be the Loop app and now Loop components, is a plan that is just connected and associated with whoever has access to that page. And it will create a new plan in a bucket. And we know what a bucket is, where we can drop our tasks in and do that. If we add another task list to the same page, it creates another bucket. And yeah, I think, Daniel, I'll pause there because I know one of your reactions was, hey, well, tell us about it. What did you think about the possibility of all of these plans?
Well, I think there's some sprawl that could happen here, right? Because if you think about the components that you're in, you might create these task lists and think it's one of those, it's happening somewhere else, and I don't need to worry about what's happening, right? Just like if you're creating, what's a good analogy? Maybe you're creating 365 groups for email, and you don't understand that there's a bunch of other stuff that's being created as well. Same here with, I'm creating a task list, and now I've got a planner, yes, but maybe I create another task list and another one, what's happening here behind the scenes. And then, what does that look like from the planner side? Because you're going to have people who want to manage it from the planner side, right, as well. And then what happens if you start moving stuff around and creating new buckets and all of this and expect it to sync back, but it doesn't, as far as new buckets and all, like, I just think there's some education that you have to do with your users here. Really, this is a time that you need to educate your users on how to use this properly, for sure.
Definitely. And so take that hint because, first of all, as admins or as change managers or people who are just interested in adopting this stuff early, just take a look at it, try it out, understand how it works and how the list that you create in a loop will create that plan. As Daniel said earlier, it does do some synchronizing between. So if you do cross off a task within Planner or within ToDo, it's going to synchronize and show the same completed task on Loop. But yeah, there is a bit of education, especially around how to connect and manage and make sense of it all. So this is rolling out in mid-June. So yeah, now-ish, and expected to be complete mid-July. Daniel, moving on to another interesting feature coming to a team near you.
I'm about to get animated, Daryl. I'm going to get animated.
All right.
So this one's updated, although we don't have an updated date, which is interesting. But animated backgrounds in Microsoft Teams, MC 578280. And just like the title says, this is bringing a new type of background for you and your wonderful meetings, which is animated backgrounds. This won't be distracting at all. So when you go to add a background, you'll notice that there will be these new animated backgrounds available right now. It is just those. It is not ones that you bring yourself. This is ones that Microsoft are providing for you right now at this time. And you'll notice it has like a little movie, little rectangle in the bottom left, kind of a play button to denote that it's an animated version of the background. So I read the title. I didn't even read the message at first. I read the title, and I will say, Daryl, I wasn't too excited about this one. Because and I think I've expressed this before, I don't like to be distracted when I'm in meetings. I want to concentrate on what we're talking about and doing, so we can kind of move on and get out of the meeting instead of spending time talking about whatever the thing is that's distracting us. But for this, I feel like maybe it might be a distraction. We have a screenshot here showing how to, where it is, but we don't, obviously, because this is just a JPEG or whatever, a still image. We don't have, what's this going to actually look like, right?
Well, we can make some guesses. Like, I'd say the middle one where it's this reflection of a cloud at sunset, but kind of strange colors, but reflections or ripple. The one I'd be worried about is I think these are like rose petals floating
The one on
around.
the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one on the right. Like, how floaty is this going to be? And I mean, that's really what I'm talking about here, is how distracting is this going to be, and frankly, why? I love Teams. I love Teams. For this, I'm not entirely sure I understand why you would want an animated background. But you had some thoughts on this, right? On why you might want this.
Well, I think it may be as a presenter, right? So I'm not so interested in a gallery of 7x7 people all with animations going on, but if it was a presenter and you're almost doing the content overlay or those sorts of effects, just a subtle animated background that has a slow moving something could be nice. But when it's that the postage stamp sized grid of people and it's all just movement as well, it just gets a bit much. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Well, you kind of mentioned something there, though, that I think is going to be the really important part, is how fast is this moving?
Yep.
It's probably, I would say, I'm guessing it's not going to be moving fast, like, right? But is it going to be moving slower than a sloth? Or faster than a sloth? I think if it's moving faster than sloth, it's going to be very distracting. I think it really needs to be moving slowly, or it's really not going to be helpful.
The Twilight one will have, I think that looks like, I guess, a townscape in the countryside. So it'll be twinkling lights, the pink clouds, it'll be rippling water, and then these rose petals will be slow moving. But it's got a loop as well to kind of make sense. Otherwise, it jumps to whatever it is.
Right.
And these are just three that Microsoft are creating for us, I guess, to test the waters. Because if they open it up and allow us all to create our own backgrounds that are animated. Daniel, you must also tell us a bit about the limitations, that it's not just going to be any old machine that can handle this.
Yeah, no, in the message it talks about how they're not available to low-end devices, so it requires at least 8 gigs of RAM and at least 4 cores in your processor. Now, any modern machine is going to have that, really, but if you have a low-end device, a more inexpensive device, it might only have like 4 gigs of RAM. Or an older device, some of those might not meet the requirements here. Now, I think the important part here is, it's going to use more resources if you think about what's going on. And so if you have any sort of issues with Teams, using too much resources in any way, when you're maybe your machine is what I mean. Like if you have a lower end machine and you have problems with Teams already, hogging your stuff while you're trying to run some other program as well, then maybe you shouldn't use this animation. So rollout will be targeted release mid-June, so now-ish, through late June. Then public preview will be mid-June as well, and then late June. Standard release will be early July through late July. And then, yes, government folks, GCC High and DoD, you'll be getting it late September through late October. So it'll be interesting to see. And I'm open. My mind is open. Let's see how it works. But yeah, I'm ready to be distracted.
Yeah, I can see all three of those being well used in the Department of Defense.
Yeah. So just reading that and seeing that just puts a Daryl, it puts a glint in my eye.
What does it?
Just
Let me get it out for you. Just hold still. Oh, terrible. Yeah, Microsoft Viva Glint Service Plan Availability MC574382. Surprise! Glint, or what was known as LinkedIn Glint, is becoming part of Microsoft Viva, and not just that, but actually part of the premium plan. Rather, the Viva Suite plan. Is that the same thing? Probably not. They call it the Suite. Suite license, where you've got all the Viva goodness, all the different various products, insights, and actually, is insights included? Sheesh! Now I'm showing my
yeah.
my lack of knowledge. Learning topics, yeah, that sort of stuff. Glint's going to be included. What is Glint? Glint is the way of being able to run a survey across your organization and get those results back as something of a health check about how people are feeling about work, their sentiment. I heard it described, Daniel, like when you think about insights, and the insights also gives us some insights into how people work. That insights is more about how people are using the tools and what you can learn from that, versus Glint saying the sentiment and what we feel and how we respond to certain questions. Voice of the employee, as they've got it in speech marks around that, and voice marks. But I think, yeah, just really the big news here is that it isn't necessarily a add-on product, that it's Viva Suite Plus, but it's being brought into the Viva Suite. What are your thoughts on that, Daniel?
Yeah, indeed. That I think that was a big question for Glint is what is this going to be? Is it going to be for me? This was a big question. I'm not speaking for everyone in the world, but for me it was: are they going to bring Glint as some part of Viva Insights some way? Were they going to bring in Glint but have it as separate outside of the suite? So there was just questions that I was asking. So here we have, Viva Suite includes Connections, of course, Engage. We've talked a lot about answers and such, so that's included with, and Suite includes Viva Topics, Viva Learning, Viva Insights and Goals, and now Viva Glint. I like it. I like that it's going to be part of the suite, bringing more value to the suite, which is, off the shelf. I think pricing right now is, I think it's $12 per user. I say off the shelf because, it just depends on kind of the relationship you have with Microsoft and what kind of deal you can get or whatever. But so bringing more value to that Viva Suite. I'm loving it.
For those organizations that are using LinkedIn Glint, they recommend that in this changeover, where the Glint service plan will become available for anyone with a premium license, if you're using LinkedIn Glint, it's best to hold off changing or starting it up with that service plan until there's a migration path or a connection path to bring over your LinkedIn data. But for everyone else who has Viva Suite and they've been looking forward to this, you can activate it, check it out, do it cautiously in a pilot and just try things out, get familiar with it, and then it's all about rolling it out so everyone can benefit from it. That's Viva Glint. And next up, another Viva announcement.
Indeed. This one is Microsoft Viva quick access to Homesite on Viva Connections Mobile, MC 574387. And this is really, it's all about bringing a nice, easy access link, a button, a shortcut button to the home site from that Viva Connections dashboard on your mobile. So the message has a screenshot showing, what we normally would see in Viva Connections mobile. You have a dashboard tab, a feed, and a resources. And on the dashboard tab, you're going to see the button in the top right that will take you to your home site. Now, this is going to follow, it's going to use the same logo that you've set. So, make sure that you pick one that is that it renders properly. It's going to look good on the mobile device in the dashboard. So, what it's going to look like once you click it, that there's going to be a lot of factors here as to, what your site's going to look like and how it works in mobile, because it all depends on how you've laid out your site, right? And what stuff you put on the page and what kind of features you're using. But just make sure that at least the logo, the icon, is good. But Daryl, do you see this as something that's beneficial for those mobile users that are trying to stay connected within their organization?
Yeah, sure. I think, we've seen the capability to open up news and pages from whether you're opening news from the news feed or you're opening pages from the resources menu, which is your global menu. It just makes sense to be able to display the home site. But yeah, I know of a couple of clients that we have where when you use a vertical section, you've got a choice of having it either at the top or at the bottom. And so when it's a smaller mobile screen, you can imagine if news was important and your vertical section was put to the top, then your news is going to be bumped down to whatever you've got in your vertical section. Just, throwing in some detail there in the weeds, but
That's right.
I think it's good to be able to get to our intranet, and I think it's just going further than what we were able to do with the SharePoint mobile app as well.
Indeed. Well, this is going to be coming at you, folks, late June, and be expected to complete that rollout by mid-July. So, folks, you're going to have that in your hands, literally. And this summer, if you're in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, or winter, and yeah, it'll warm your
Winter's
heart, I'm
coming.
sure.
Indeed. Absolutely. You know what else would warm my heart is when I'm in Teams. Let's stick to mobile here. When I'm in
Yeah.
Teams and I'm in mobile, I want to be able to attach files easily from OneDrive and stuff in my chat. Can I do that, Daryl?
Not today, Daniel, but soon.
Yay!
Yeah, no, I remember trying to do this in a Teams chat and wanting to attach a file that I've been working on recently. And at the moment, it is taking me to local files on my iPhone. And I understand that it's a similar experience for Android. But the Microsoft Teams team and the mobile team of the Teamy team have built the capability to browse your cloud files. So that means that you can. This is actually quite impressive this week. They have 4 full-size screenshots, and here we have a chat where you can hit the plus button beside your messaging box. You can then choose the attach button. You then get a tray that comes up, which allows you to browse either your OneDrive or this device, whereas beforehand it was just this device. It will also show your recent files. That's probably the most useful thing about it, that you're going to be able to go straight into what you used to be able to, that you were working on recently. But if you tap on See All, you can also select files, multiple files, and go and browse your folder structure. I don't know though, Daniel, if this supports the OneDrive shortcuts, I have found some places where that goodness isn't necessarily supported. So I think it's just going to give us the ability to see our OneDrive files at this point.
Gotcha. That's a good call out because some people really do rely on those shortcuts in OneDrive to all of different data, not just within their OneDrive.
Yep, certainly I found it quite useful. So this is rolling out in late June and will be finished in mid-July. So no stratification there of various different rollout paces. It's just going to come at you. But enjoy. I know
Like a
I will
rocket.
because there were all sorts of crazy workarounds I used to try and use of download to device, put in my iCloud or, and then it was just messy.
Yep. Multiple copies everywhere. No one likes that.
Indeed.
Well, we hope that you've enjoyed this week's episode. And if you have, make sure that you give us a thumbs up. Give us that rating on the podcast channel. We'd love to see that. And make sure you reach out to us at 365MCS. We're approachable. We won't bite. And we'd love to have conversations with you on the socials. We are on all of the socials. Well, the ones that matter, like I say. So,
Do we have a Discord?
Like I said,
Oh, okay.
all the ones that matter. We are there. So,
Sorry,
this
gamers.
week- yeah, no kid. This week, I am actually in Washington, D.C. at the 365 EduCon conference. I'm giving a workshop and some sessions on Power BI and a couple of sessions with actually another MVP, Joanne Klein, on compliance and syntax and topics. And it's going to be wonderful. So if you're in Washington, D.C., please make sure that you come by and see me. Love to chat and give you a sticker. So love to see you then.
Like those ones that I voted?
Yes, kind of like that.
Or I got my jab. Yeah.
Kind of like that, but
I got my dose of
even
365 MCS. Oh, yeah,
Right.
you are immunized for another week.
See, this is what I was saying. I was about to say is that it's actually even more important than both of those that you had mentioned. It is that you have all the information you need this week. So
Yes.
yes, absolutely.
Well, thanks all for joining, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.